Comforter. If I am connected spirit to God, He gives me His comfort. His rod and His staff comfort me. And so I can seek comfort in different ways, and masturbation is one of them. And I know people that you can't even get to sleep without doing that. And they're doing it 2 or 3 or 5 times a day because they need their comfort. It's and I'm going to talk more on the men part of this, just because that's more of my experience. It can be compulsive and obsessive. It can be something that people participate in a few or half a dozen times a day or more. So it's something that can be controlling to you. The other thing is that it gets in the way of intimacy with people and with God. The other thing that I've seen, especially in men, and this is the undertone of a man, the heart of behind every man is, do I have what it takes? Do I got what it takes? Am I a real man? Do I have what it takes? And in a woman, on the foundation of a woman's heart is, am I worth pursuing? Am I beautiful? I believe that masturbation as a man takes away a few things. Number one, it takes away leadership. It makes it so that a man sits in the back row and puts his head down. Because he doesn't really want to answer anything because he knows what he's doing. When he's consuming himself and self-comfort and consuming video stuff and all those things that go with it, you're actually consuming a product, especially when it comes to porn. You're consuming a product, and you're actually enabling that product to be distributed. And the other thing it does, so number one, it takes away leadership. And then it takes the ability away as a leader to fight for a relationship. And we all have our needs. And when I'm getting my need met sexually, I'm not going to fight for her heart. Because women connect a little bit differently. Men are more proximity, right? She gets out of the shower, right? I get out of the shower, you're getting the floor wet. Stop it. It's like, what are you talking about? Right? I see in the mirror, Atlas is in the mirror. She's like, get some pants on. Stop it, you're stupid. Right? And she connects emotionally. For the most part, I'm using a broad brush. But for the most part, a woman connects emotionally and a man connects physically. And so we can use this against each other a little bit. When I am taking care of my physical need, I don't need to connect with you emotionally. You're scary. When you're mad, you come at me. Like, no dude comes at another dude when we're mad. That means you're going to fight. Like, women come like, no, love me, please. Tell me I'm beautiful. That's what she's really doing, but she's really saying, fight for me, love me, meet me emotionally, right? But I don't have a physical need, so why would I do that? That sounds like a lot of work and a lot of effort to connect with you emotionally, and what do I get out of it? And I've learned this from sex doctors and people that have researched this. And the tip to guys that I've heard is saying little things like, number one, you satisfy me. The first time I said that to my wife, I laughed out loud. I actually laughed. Like, oh, you satisfy me. And the other thing I remember this one doctor saying that you need to connect with her. Connect and look at her. Right? I don't need to look at your face to talk to you. For some odd reason, I can drive and I can have a conversation without looking. For some odd reason, my wife has to look at me. Like, you're driving. Can you not look at me, please? And so you connect with your eyes. And I know that I can connect with my wife in bed by looking at her. And we just sit there and look at each other. I'm like, this does nothing for me. And you see her being filled. I don't know what she's being filled with because my eyes aren't that good looking. I don't know what's happening right now, but there's oxygen being pushed into her. There's something that's happening. Thank you for connecting with me. Cool. Doctor said, don't have sex right then. I'm like, that's hard. She's happy and connected. Don't do it. And I've learned the hard way. It's more effective when I fight for her heart and try to connect with her emotionally because she responds physically. And so if I am taking care of my physical need, believe me, fighting for your heart and your emotional need is draining. Like if I'm already getting what I need. Do you see what I mean? Like if I'm taking care of myself physically and sexually, I don't need to fight for your heart. So that is one side of it. And I'm just telling you things that I've learned. That why it can be a hazard. The other thing that porn does would be, I'm talking about masturbation and porn. So porn would actually rewire your brain just as chemicals are released. That is at the point of ejaculation, that is the highest chemical experience that a human can have. And some of us have done some hardcore drugs and we've been high for 5 to, I don't know, some people 10 days. Like that's impressive. Imagine having an orgasm for 10 days. I don't, you wouldn't want that. It wouldn't be normal. You wouldn't be able to deal with life. It's a very powerful thing that happens, and the brain receptors. And so what happens and how God has made it so that we can go 50%, right? And I know that the extremes distort and our moral compass and our needs to be comforted and loved and all those things we're grabbing onto. If I connect with you physically, you're going to connect with me emotionally. Does that always work? No, and it leaves you empty and guilt-ridden and shameful because you've done it again and he left. What happens is, and how he's created you to function at 50 kilometers an hour, is he's actually, at the point of ejaculation for a man, I'm not sure if this is true for a woman, but for a man, there's actually a snapshot that's taken. And so that snapshot is of whatever's in front of him. And so if it's a video screen, then you're snapshotting that perfect image that isn't real. But that image is what your mind goes for. And that's why your wife is fat. That's why, because in your mind, this is the image that you've been looking at. And so God has made it so that a man can be faithful. Because if you are with the same partner and you have your eyes, that's the snapshot that you get. And it might take a year or two to become clean and not have the other pictures in your head. But God has made us and designed us to be able to drive 50 kilometers an hour for our own good. And so I have personal experience with that, and I know that to be true. And this isn't coming out of, this is coming from a doctor called Dr. Weiss. He's a sex doctor. Amazing stuff. And so it's interesting how we have been designed in a way to actually operate within the parameters, to bring life to us and not shame and guilt. Do I have what it takes? Masturbation says, no, you don't. Because you don't need her. You don't have to pursue her. And there's a whole generation behind us that's 20 years old, that's 15 years old, that's 25 years old, that have had a high-definition porn machine at their disposal since they were 6 or 7 years old. And they don't need a woman, nor want one. And I see a trend that's happening in a younger generation. And they're scared of women. They're scared of relationship. And why would they need it? Whew! Tough, eh? Porn and masturbation says, I don't need to fight for her heart. It's too much work. It's a lot of work. So we got our